There's a relationship pattern so common, so predictable, that therapists have a name for it. One person always seems to need more. More closeness, more reassurance, more proof that they are loved. And the other person always seems to need less. Less intensity, less pressure, less of everything that feels too close. One chases, one retreats. One gets louder, one goes quiet. And somehow, these two people find each other, over and over again, in different bodies, in different cities, and with different names. It's not a coincidence. Neither is it bad luck. And today, we're going to talk about exactly why it keeps happening. First, let's understand who we're talking about. The anxious person. They love deeply, sometimes too deeply for their own comfort. They notice everything. A slight change in tone, a delayed reply, a look that lasted half a second too long. And when they sense distance, they move toward it. They reach. They ask. They need to know everything is okay. Right now. Not because they're clingy, but because somewhere in their past, love disappeared without warning, and their nervous system never forgot. Now, the avoidant person. They're not cold or heartless. They feel everything. They just learned very early that feelings were not safe to show. So they built something, not walls exactly, more like a system, a way of being self-sufficient, of not needing too much, of handling everything alone. And when someone gets too close, too intense, too needy, something in them pulls back, not to punish, just to breathe. Here is where it gets interesting. Put these two people together, and something almost chemical happens. The anxious person feels the avoidance calm, their independence, their coolness, and it reads as strength and safety, the kind of person who won't fall apart. And the avoidant person feels the anxious person's warmth, their devotion, their intensity, and it reads as love, real love, the kind they've always secretly wanted but never let themselves have. So they come together and it feels electric. It feels like finally. And then the dance begins. The anxious person starts to need reassurance. Small things at first. A text back quickly. A little more warmth. A little more presence. The avoidant person feels the pressure building and does what they always do. They create space. They go quiet. They pull back, which triggers the anxious person, who then reaches harder, needs more, and ultimately panics, which in turn overwhelms the avoidant person and causes them to retreat further. Round and round, chase and retreat, reach and withdraw, need and suffocate. Neither person is the villain. Both people are exhausted, and both people are convinced that the other one is the problem. So here's the real question. Why do these two people keep finding each other? Out of everyone in the world, why always this combination? Because it feels like home, not a happy home necessarily, but a familiar one. The anxious person grew up in an environment where love was inconsistent, sometimes warm, sometimes distant, sometimes there, sometimes gone. So they learned to chase, to earn love, to prove they were worth staying for. The avoidant person, on the other hand, grew up in an environment where needing things was uncomfortable, where emotions were too much, where love came with conditions, criticism, or silence. So they learned to need less, to disappear when things got heavy, to survive alone. Now here's the painful part. The anxious person isn't really chasing their partner. They're chasing the love they never consistently received as a child. And the avoidant person isn't really running from their partner. They're running from the overwhelm they were never allowed to feel safely. Two wounded people playing out the same old story in a brand new relationship. So, does this mean anxious and avoidant people should never be together? Not necessarily. In fact, some of the most beautiful relationships happen between these two types, but only when both people are willing to do something most people never do. See the pattern and choose differently. For the anxious person, that means learning to self-soothe before reaching out. To ask, is this fear talking or is this real? To build a sense of safety inside yourself that doesn't depend entirely on someone else's response. For the avoidant person, that means staying 1 minute longer than feels comfortable. To say, I need space right now, instead of just disappearing. To learn that someone else's need is not a threat to your freedom. And for both of them, the most important question is not, why does my partner keep doing this? It's, where did I learn to do this? If you recognize yourself in either of these people today, that's not something to be ashamed of. That's something to be curious about. Because awareness is always the beginning, not the end. The beginning. The patterns that feel most like you are often the ones you inherited. And the things we inherit, we can also put down. If you want to understand your attachment style more deeply, I created a full quiz and guide for you. It walks you through exactly what style you are, where it comes from, and what healing can actually look like. The link is in the description. If this video helped you see something in yourself or someone you love, share it with them. Subscribe for more every week, and I'll see you in the next one.